This is the second most asked question about my cancer diagnosis. And I'm gonna answer it today. Okay, so the question is, what is my timeline? When is this gonna happen? Tell me about it. I've been waiting just as long as you have, and it's been driving me crazy. But because everyone is asking me constantly, what's my timeline, what's next, what's going on, I am going to give you, to the best of my ability, a detailed look at what my near future holds for me and kind of when everything's gonna happen. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Okay, so if you've been watching my other videos, you would have heard me doing a week of chemo or a spring break of week off, right? So week on, week off, week on, week off of chemo. That is going on through May 23rd, right? So up until May 23rd, I've gotten a week on and week off of chemo, repeatedly just stabilizing my body. What's next, right? Well, June 5th through the 20th, can't make 20.
Perfect.
So I just had a stroke on camera. June 5th through 20th is a whole slew of appointments that I will do my best to capture all of them, right? But there's a lot of times where you can't put cameras in. I don't know how I'm gonna structure it out, but there is so much that goes into June 5th through 20th. It's ridiculous. Like, I have a list right in front of me, like right here, because I wrote them all down, and my goodness, it is just appointment, just one after another of just countless things to get me and my body ready for transplant. Okay, so between June 5th and June 20th, there's so much stuff that honestly, I'm just gonna read it from my little paper right here, and I can't remember it all that much, so I'm gonna read it. So to start things off, there is tons of Zoom calls all throughout the week, you know, probably about 2 or 3 of them a week, just explaining, I don't know, they're called educational visits, and at this point, it's like, dude, I'm so smart at chemo, I could probably teach you a thing or two. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge education person, I love every second of it, that was a joke. But there are tons of Zoom calls, at-home visits. Again, educational visits, that's what I have next. Apparently some are different. And then I have an EKG test. Don't really know exactly what those are, but they're super easy. And I have 2 of those, and then I have an echocardiogram. That's where they take an echo of my heart to make sure it is functioning normal or above average, you know, because that's, yeah, my heart's cranking. I also have blood tests, like, oh my gosh, I swear every day. Like, I put times 1,000,000 on my paper because I just didn't want to write exactly how many blood tests I have. Then I have another bone marrow biopsy, which is a big one right there. That is actually June 9th. That will be a big, kind of like the other video, it's gonna be a big indicator of what will happen next, what my body's doing and how it looks like. I will have 2 main consults with my doctor, one after the bone marrow biopsy, and then one closer to transplant where he gives me the checkoff to
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
check off, where he checks me off to
Bruh.
go into transplant. And then I have 2 specimen collections. That is, I know it sounds crazy, specimen collections, fancy name for COVID test. That's all it is, a COVID test. They're still uncomfortable, but that's basically one after my bone marrow biopsy again, one before I go inpatient into the hospital for my transplant. And then I have an echo transothermic. Yeah, smart people can read that. I am not on that level. I have no idea what that is. Basically, an echo is a machine that looks into your body. So they're gonna look at some—
Think.
That is my ball sack exam. Those are fun. Those are fun.
What do you mean by that?
Oh man, do I have some stories on those. Okay, so that is where they do an echo of my balls. Then I have a CT scan. That one is, again, a big one, very similar to the biopsy. That is going to be a full body CT scan from brain to toes, everything, and they will look at everything and anything inside my body to make sure it's functioning properly. I have a pulmonary function test, which I believe is a breathing or a lung test. I'll let you know how that one goes. And then I have an optometrist exam, so eyeballs, and that's just a fun one. And then I have a nutritional exam, and then a nutritional meeting where they teach me about my diet, what the diet looks like, going through it. I have a pretty good understanding of that because I just did it for 3.5 years. But I think you get the idea that June 5th through June 20th is a cluster, an absolute cluster of exams and appointments. I'm not living inpatient at the hospital yet, but I'll be living at the hospital, right? Okay, so now we're gonna move on to some really important dates that I think everybody wants to know. June 21st, I don't know, I keep trying to make numbers with my hand, but they're too big. June 21st is my check-off date from the doctor.
Stop it. Get some help.
That's where my primary doctor evaluates everything from those tests that he just saw and makes sure he approves me going into transplant. Okay, now the two biggest dates that I need you to know, which of course are the ones that are up in the air, are the day I get admitted to the hospital and the day that I get my transplant. Yes, they are different days. So as of right now, the day I will get admitted to the hospital is June 23rd.
My time has come.
And then the day I get my transplant is June 30th.
Nice.
So from June 23rd to June 30th, there is like, what are you doing in that week, Nolan? The week I get admitted, the week in between, my admission date and my transplant, I will be getting full body radiation and like a cocktail of chemos that is so heavy, it kills everything. So they're in between that week, the admission date and the transplant is where the killing happens, right?
Who's laughing now?
So June 23rd, killing, June 30th, filling, right? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Those two are still up in the air, but those are the two big dates. Those are the two big dates that this timeline is pretty reliant on. And after that, yeah, I'm gonna be in the hospital for a while. Okay, so after June 30th, that is what is known as day 0. The day I get my stem cells is called day 0. I have about 100 days, which I believe are going to be in the hospital, of super heavy immunosuppressants to make sure the stem cells take their place in my body appropriately. And then after that 100 days, I believe, get let home after the doctor again approves everything he likes, like sees everything, and he's like, yep, this is good, sends me home. And then I have, at that point, a big, what I'm calling the bubble. Okay, so I just want to reiterate that all these dates and timelines of what I'm saying is kind of like what I know in my head right now. I'm pretty sure they're true and I think it's what's gonna happen, but like this whole medical field and everything that happens in the hospital, it's so cyclical. Like if one thing happens, it changes 100 things down here. If one thing happens here, it changes all this. There's so many different roads that go down depending on like what happens. So I just want, you as the viewer to keep that in mind when I'm telling you my timeline. If I say the 30th and something happens here and it ends up being a different day, I apologize, but as of right now, that's what I know. So
that was a f***ing lie.
Back to what I was saying with the bubble. The bubble is like this weird time period where I still have to rebuild my body, my ecosystem, everything about my body. I have to rebuild up everything, right? Because they just drained me and now they have to fill me back up. And it's like almost like a second birth where I have to build a whole new environment for my body to live in and get acclimated to. So with that said, there's this big window of 6 months to 2 years where the doctor was like, you need to pretty much stay at home. Like, don't go to the gym, don't go to the grocery store, don't go out with friends, don't like, go play basketball. Just stay at home, find a way to work from home, find a way to enjoy yourself at home until you feel, and we kind of give you the okay to get back into normal life after that. And I was told, like, do not plan on the 2 years as long as everything's going amazing. Really, because you're younger, you're definitely on the healthy side. Plan for at least under a year, if not the 6-month window, and you should be out rocking and rolling again here soon. So there's just this really like clouded bubble of timeline after the transplant once I get back home of when the doctors and I, because I also have a say in this, If I feel 1,000% and I know I'm okay, I might go to the grocery store like late at night with a mask, you know, where nobody's there, or smaller things at the gym. Basically what I'm trying to say is there's a huge line of communication that will take place in this window from my doctor and I.
But now on to the cancer.
Oh my God.
You up?
And yeah, it's gonna be a long process. So every single step of this, it's just another like small journey in itself. And that's kind of what these videos are for, to share it with you guys, but also to help me remember and understand what happened, what's going on, and kind of what I can expect going into the future, if that makes sense. So I really hope that this brought some clarity to just the brain fog of what's going on with my situation right now. So that's pretty much my timeline. It's, to say the least, everything is up in the air until we get the donor and everything's figured out. I got a whole list of appointments that I listed out, and then I have my admission date and my transplant date. And after that, a long period of time where I have to take some isolation, some me time.
Ooh, if anyone needs me, I'll be in the Angry Dome.
But outside of that, that's my timeline. That's what my future looks like for a long time. And there's a lot of clouded judgment and all this to if this happens next. Just remember that I will keep you updated, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I will do my 100% hardest. I will do my best to get to every single one of them. And as always, keep getting 1% better every single day, and I will see you in the next one.
Got you, homie.
Peace.